The story of humanity is not a straight line. It is a winding path, carved by species that rose, wandered, survived, and vanished long before we appeared. But among all those ancient beings, one stood apart, bold, intelligent, and restless. This is the story of Homo erectus, the first true traveler of Earth, a species that changed everything. Human history did not begin with cities, tools, or even language. It began with curiosity, the instinct to explore. And 2 million years ago, one species embraced that instinct like no other. Before Homo erectus, early humans lived in small pockets of Africa, surviving only in the familiar lands they knew. They walked slowly, hunched forward, relying on simple instincts rather than strategy. Life was harsh, survival was fragile. But then, something changed. A new species emerged, stronger, taller, and more capable. They stood fully upright with long, powerful legs built for endurance. Their hands were skilled, their brains larger, and their eyes sharper. For the first time, a human ancestor looked at the horizon and wondered what lay beyond it. This remarkable being was Homo erectus, upright man. With their arrival, the world seemed to open for the first time. Homo erectus learned to hunt in groups using teamwork instead of pure strength. They crafted stone tools far more advanced than anything before them: hand axes, cleavers, and sharpened blades. These tools weren't just objects. They were evidence of thought, planning, and intelligence. But perhaps their greatest leap forward wasn't a tool at all. It was a spark, a flame, a discovery that changed the fate of every species that came after. Homo erectus became the first human to control fire. Imagine the world before fire. Nights filled with predators, darkness, and fear. Cold winds with no warmth. Food eaten raw, difficult to chew, harder to digest. And then, light, warmth, protection. Cooked meat that gave more energy and nourishment. Fire was a breakthrough that shaped evolution itself, making brains grow, bodies strengthen, and communities gather. For the first time, humans didn't just survive nature, they shaped it. Fire allowed Homo erectus to do something no ancestor had done before: leave home. They became explorers, stepping beyond Africa's savannas and into the wide world. They crossed deserts. They walked through rainforests. They followed rivers and coastlines. They adapted to environments that no human before them could imagine. Over thousands of years, they spread across continents, into Asia, the Middle East, China, Indonesia, and even reaching the mysterious island of Java. This journey makes Homo erectus the first human species to migrate out of Africa. And with every journey came learning. They learned to hunt new animals, gather new foods, and survive unfamiliar climates. Their footprints, found today in Kenya, Georgia, and Java, tell the story of endurance. A species with a heart built for travel and a mind built for problem-solving. When the nights were cold, they built shelters. When food was scarce, they created new tools. When predators hunted them, they hunted back, with unity and strategy. Homo erectus didn't conquer the world through power. They did it through determination. But their journey wasn't just physical, it was emotional. For the first time, we see signs of deeper behavior: cooperation, shared food, and maybe even early compassion. In caves and ancient campsites, evidence shows that injured individuals were cared for. Old ones lived longer than expected. Children grew under protection of a group. This suggests that Homo erectus wasn't just a species. It was a community, a family, a society that understood the value of sticking together. As time passed, their brains grew even larger, their tools more refined, their bodies stronger and taller, some standing nearly 6 feet. For nearly 2 million years, Homo erectus survived storms, droughts, predators, and shifting climates. To put that into perspective, our species, Homo sapiens, has existed for only about 300,000 years. Erectus lived nearly 7 times longer than we have. They were one of the most successful human species ever to walk the earth. But every rise has an end. As the world changed, so did the challenges. New human species emerged: the robust Neanderthals, the mysterious Denisovans, and eventually, us. Climate shifts made survival harder. Competition for food increased. Isolation between groups grew. Slowly, over thousands of years, Homo erectus began to disappear from the places they once dominated. The last known population lived on the island of Java, holding on long after their relatives had gone extinct elsewhere. And around 108,000 years ago, the last of them vanished. No war, no catastrophe, just the quiet fading of a species that had shaped human destiny. But though they vanished, their legacy did not. Homo erectus left behind something far more powerful than bones or tools. They left behind momentum. Their discoveries, fire, migration, endurance, cooperation, tool-making, became the foundation for later humans. They carved the path that Homo sapiens would eventually follow. Every step we take today, every place we travel, every spark of innovation, traces its roots back to them. Without Homo erectus, there may have been no migrations, no global humans, no civilizations, no world as we know it. They were the first adventurers, the first fire keepers, the first world explorers. They were the ones who taught humanity to move, forward, outward, and onward. So when we look at our modern world filled with roads, cities, maps, and journeys, we are witnessing the echo of a species that refused to stay still. A species that stood tall, looked at the horizon, and walked into the unknown. Homo erectus may be gone, but their spirit lives inside every human who dreams of traveling beyond the next mountain, across the next ocean, or into the next frontier. They were the first travelers, the pioneers of our story, and because of them, humanity learned to rise.